Well. The Lakers got a dominant win last night against the Denver Nuggets. A game where it started off in the first quarter, and I was like, this is about to get ugly. Jamal Murray hitting shots, Peyton Watson hitting shots, Spencer Jones. I didn't know who that brother was. He was out there hitting shots. And then as the game was progressing, second half comes around, and JJ Redick, the Lakers coaching staff, they made the necessary adjustments to be better defensively. I'm going to start off by doing this. 2 games in a row with the Lakers made adjustments. And to start off the 8-game road trip, I know Nikola Jokic didn't play. I know the Denver Nuggets were missing a couple guys. The Lakers didn't have Austin Reaves, who could be returning in this 8-game road trip, JJ Redick said before the game against the Denver Nuggets. All that was so good to start off your 8-game road trip with the win in Denver, a hard-fought collective group effort. I'm thinking I wake up this morning, I have my notes ready to go. I'm like, man, I'm ready to dissect the game a little bit, talk to you guys about the positives of what the Lakers were doing in last night's win. And then guess what happens? More distractions for the Lakers. This whole article by Baxter Holmes on ESPN.com referring to Jeannie Buss and the Buss family. All that comes to light this morning. So now the Lakers' big win against the Denver Nuggets gets overshadowed with that. We're going to dive into all that. You already know, though. Got to talk about the beautiful Pechanga Resort Casino. And you can always play a perfect combination at Pechanga Resort Casino, the official Native American resort and casino of the Los Angeles Lakers. Skip the traffic. Head on over to Pechanga Resort Casino just off the I-15 in Temecula. Visit pechanga.com or call 888-PECHANGA for reservations and for more information. So before I even dive in to the Jeannie Buss situation, the Baxter Holmes article on ESPN.com, I have to talk about that win last night against the Denver Nuggets. Once again, I know Nikola Jokic did not play. I understand that. I totally get that. But however, the Denver Nuggets have been playing good basketball without him on the floor. My biggest concern is, for some reason, and I know you guys can come into agreement with this, for some reason, Jamal Murray just has his way when it comes to the Lakers. For some reason, Jamal Murray is always on a heater when he plays the Lakers. But he wasn't the only one in last night's game that got hot early. Peyton Watson was hitting dribble pull-up threes. Spencer Jones, once again, a guy who was all of a sudden a corner specialist. The Lakers went into a 2-3 zone early in the game, and the Nuggets were getting wide open looks left and right. So I have to remind you guys, it's a little bit different in the NBA to play at the 2-3 zone or any type of zone because of the defensive 3 seconds in the key. So with that being said, the Lakers struggled with guarding the middle. The Nuggets did a good job of getting the ball in the middle of the floor, and it made the Lakers in a pick-and-choose situation. I know I'm getting a little deep dive here. A pick-and-choose situation. So meaning Deondre Ayton or Jackson Hayes, the middleman of the zone, had to step up, and the Nuggets were getting every single shot they wanted. So then the Lakers tried to go to a man, and that did not work. The Nuggets getting in and out of the paint whenever they wanted, kick out, corner three, kick out, three-pointer. That's what the Nuggets were thriving at in the first half. Jamal Murray was on a heater, and it was one of those early on the game. I'm sitting there looking at the box score. I'm sitting there looking at a little bit, rewinding, like, what is going on? Why the Lakers just keep on giving up easy looks every single time when they face an opponent? I know the Lakers don't have the personnel to become a really good defensive team. But second half comes. And there was one thing that made a big difference in that second half against the Denver Nuggets. You know what that was? The Lakers, as soon as Jamal Murray crossed the half-court line, they double-teamed him, making him get the ball up early and having others beat them. Even though Peyton Watson was on the heater, the Lakers were able to get him on a one-on-one situation. You're going to take your chances on that. Then you got Tim Hardaway Jr., again, don't understand why he was out there jacking up shots like that, but that played into the Lakers' favor. And then Aaron Gordon, he does a good job moving without the basketball. For some reason, he wasn't really doing that. He was floating around the three-point ball. The Lakers were getting after it. They were diving on the floor for loose balls. They were limiting second chance opportunities. They actually were getting out and running a little bit. We saw LeBron James getting out, getting some dunks in transition. We saw Luka Doncic doing a great job of not settling for threes. There were certain moments where, like, come on, man, there's no need for a step back three in that moment. He was getting to the free throw line. He was getting to the paint. That's where he gets his bread and butter from. It was a group collective effort, and it was a beautiful thing to see. Defense, defense, defense. And I'm proud to say that the Lakers, 2 games in a row, they made the necessary adjustments to be successful on that end of the floor. There was no questioning that the Lakers can score. When you have Luka Doncic, when you have LeBron, when you have Austin Reaves, and you have a guy like Rui Hachimura who's shooting one of the highest percentages on this team, there's no question that the Lakers offense wasn't going to be an issue. Once again, the biggest concern is, can they defend? Can they rebound? Can they protect the rim? I know DeAndre Ayton went out early. Jackson Hayes provided a much-needed spark, and I already know what you guys are going to say. Go ahead, spam it in the YouTube chat. Drew Timmy time. Give some minutes to Drew Timmy. Look, he has been playing well. He has been playing well in the minutes that JJ Redick and the coaching staff have been giving him. But once again, a very, very good win to start off your 8-game road trip. And then you have more good news leading up to that game against the Denver Nuggets. Austin Reaves was reevaluated. JJ Redick said that he could return at some point during this 8-game road trip. And wow. So you add Austin Reaves back into the mix. The Lakers can hopefully stay healthy, and they can finally have a complete team. Because we've seen a lot of different lineup changes. We've seen it only being Luka and Austin Reaves, and Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reaves and LeBron. It's like it's never been Luka, LeBron, Austin Reaves for a collective group of games. A lot of in and out of this rotation. The Lakers have had the injury bug. So Austin Reaves coming back into the lineup, now you can see the offense change once again. You got another scorer. You got another ball handler. You got another guy that can get to the free throw line. You got another guy that's going to change up the defensive looks from opponents. It's a good sign. Now, the question is, how healthy is Austin Reaves? Is he going to be in limited minutes? Is it going to be a ramp-up process just like for Rui Hachimura? Is he fully ready to go with that calf strain that took him out for basically a whole month? All that's going to be some concerns, but adding him into the lineup is only going to be helpful on the offensive end. Let me make sure I put a stamp on that. It's going to be very helpful on the offensive end. And the Lakers do truly miss Austin Reaves, especially when the offense isn't going, especially when it's one-on-one ball between Luka and LeBron and there's no real fluid movement. He provides a little bit of a different look to this Lakers team offensively. Now, can the Lakers sustain this type of defensive effort? Possibly. They got to keep on making adjustments. They're going to be a team that they can't stay in one defensive setting. You see what they did. 2-3 zone, or zone did not work early on. They went to man. Man did not work. Okay, we switched it up again going into the second half. They watched the film. They studied it. They see why Jamal Murray was having too much success getting in and out of the paint, getting every single shot that he wanted. That double team early on, forcing him to give up the ball and force Peyton Watson, force Bruce Brown, force Spencer Jones, and force Jalen Pickett, all those guys to make a decision, and you're going to go one-on-one against me. We're not letting your best player beat us. Smart. Double team him every single time he touches the rock. Jamal Murray was scoreless in that entire second half. That's a testament to Lakers buying in, to the adjustments. That is a testament to them actually buying in on defense and understanding that you are going to have to get stops eventually to win games. You can't sit here and try to outscore teams. It's not going to work. You have to get stops. You have to be able to defend. And once again, a beautiful, beautiful way to start off your 8-game road trip. I ain't gonna lie to you, I am happy to finally talk about a good win, a really, really good win against a really good Denver Nuggets team. It's about time. I was getting tired of sitting here. Oh, here we go again. This is another blowout loss for the Lakers or any of that such. Because it was getting like that early on that first quarter when the Nuggets jumped out to 11-point lead. I was like, 30 points in the first quarter. That's, come on, man. But I'm proud. I'm happy that they made the necessary things to move on. And again, the road trip continues. Got the LA Clippers in the Intuit Dome tomorrow. Who knows if Kawhi Leonard's going to be playing? If he doesn't, still got to go out there and perform because the Clippers are on a heater. As much as I despise and don't like what the Clippers be doing, they're playing good basketball right now. They are, and you got to respect what they're doing. Their season turned around real quick, so you can't come in there like flat-footed. You got to come in there once again, right from the jump, and just put them out early. But we got to dive in. I waited this whole Genie Bus and this Bus family article that was thrown out here by Baxter Holmes, and honestly, there is a lot to dissect from that article. First off, we understand the whole LeBron situation. We'll get into that. And then to the whole selling to Mark Walter, to where getting called cheap and not willing to provide the right resources and being very limited in their budget and not wanting to do the things to make the franchise successful, to it being passed down to the four of them and Jeannie Buss working with the younger siblings because she didn't want to work with the older siblings, to her, okay, now I don't want to work with the younger siblings. I'm going to go ahead and work with Rob Pelinka and, stand next to him after Magic Johnson left, to I'm only going to trust my eyes with him because he's going to value the roster. He's going to try to make the right moves. He's going to try to construct this team in the right way to be successful. And to her selling this team to Mark Walter, as you see right there, shout out my guy Grant Metzger putting that picture up, to selling to Mark Walter, firing her siblings. It's been a whole disaster, honestly. And when this article, and this is just my point of view, when this article got released, the first thing that came to my mind was, after reading everything, I'm like, it's all adding up. It is all adding up. And there's a reason why her and the Buss family needed to move on and sell. It was getting real stagnant in there. There was too many hands in the cookie jar. Everyone thought this was the best interest for this franchise when there was no real structure. There was no real guidance. There was no real clear-cut plan. Everything, they were feuding with each other in the office, and they were trying to do this, and they were just not making any sort of sense. Working with the younger siblings. Okay, I'm going to work with them. I'm not going to even try to work with my older siblings and see what they want to do and see what they feel would be best for this franchise, whether it's resources, whether it's equipment, whether it's getting the right players. We got to remind ourselves there was a certain stretch through this Lakers decade that they were just a lottery team. They were. They were just a lottery team. And when LeBron James did come into this franchise in 2018, as much as people like to say that I don't really buy in that he saved the Lakers and all this sorts, and LeBron wanted to go to Lakers, the Lakers didn't want, whatever. All I know is that when he came along, all of a sudden you saw a shift and a turnaround because you finally got someone like LeBron James, a superstar caliber player, and then you started to see that you acquire Anthony Davis, and you see all these moves. There was a plan. There was a product that was being built, and it led to getting a championship. It took some time. It wasn't pretty right away, but you're seeing, okay, you've seen the development. You see the process. There was a clear-cut plan with LeBron James, and the timeline was adding up when you acquire Anthony Davis, and you start adding all these different pieces. And that's when the bubble championship comes. And then what happens? What happens after all that is said and done? Per the article, per Baxter Holmes, Jeannie Buss began to turn on LeBron James. Did not really like what LeBron James was doing outside of the Lakers organization. He had, as far as his ego, she felt that Clutch exerted too much control because LeBron's a client of Clutch. Along when Anthony Davis was on his team, he was a client of Clutch as well. It didn't like how LeBron was considered a savior when he brought the championship and he turned his Lakers franchise around and they started getting all this revenue and all this different type of stuff. LeBron was looked at as he was glorified as this savior for the Lakers franchise. And she's sitting there like, well, as Jeannie, I did a lot as far as acquiring LeBron. I did a lot as far as providing the right resources. She said, this is her belief. Why is he getting all the looks? Why is he getting all this glorified look? Why is he considered a savior? Why am I getting overlooked and overshadowed just because of LeBron James? If that's true, Who knows? But again, this is all the article per Baxter Holmes. And you look at more that just keeps on going through the article when Russell Westbrook was acquired. And they're saying that they wanted to get Russell Westbrook for LeBron James because he was a big voice of acquiring Russell Westbrook. And then we understand how that went down. It ended up being a 33 and 49. It was a disaster. They didn't even make the playoffs. They didn't like it that he didn't take accountability for all that. Like, there's a lot more things that I'm going to continue amongst this article. But before I do any of that, got to take a little break. I got to breathe a little bit. I'm fired up today, man. It's a good day. It's a beautiful day. But before I do any of that, I got to let my partners up at Pachanga give you guys a quick word.
At Pachanga Resort Casino, you can rock and roll, sip and slide, twist and shout. Play your perfect combination at Pachanga Resort Casino, official Indian gaming sponsor of the Lakers.
Whew. Lakers, dominant win against the Denver Nuggets last night. It was beautiful. I can't stress it enough to finally see them putting the defense on a really good Denver Nuggets team. Beautiful thing to see. And then, of course, all that gets overshadowed due to this article with Jeannie Buss, Baxter Holmes wrote. And to continue off what I left at, as far as the growing frustration with LeBron James and her not seeing eye to eye, and didn't like that he was considered this savior, and didn't like how the lack of accountability during the Westbrook trade. And then more just keeps on going on that is spilled from this article. And then privately him not being used about giving him a contract extension and even considered trading him to the Clippers at some point. And then felt like LeBron was not grateful of getting Bronny when Lakers did draft Bronny. Felt like he was ungrateful for that. And then gave him a contract extension fearing that it was a bad PR. Whatever, all this stuff is just starting to spew out. And it sucks because now you add more distraction to this front office. Now you add more distraction to this team. I guarantee you everyone is seeing this article being published. This is starting to go all around. This is more and more frustrations. They already have a lot of other distractions amongst this team. But the whole Rich Paul stuff, him going on his podcast and being the trade machine guy and saying that Lakers should do this and try to trade Austin Reaves and try to acquire Jaren Jackson Jr. They should try to do this. All of this different types of noise just keeps on going around the Lakers. And this is what it leads me to, is that you see the dysfunction amongst the Buss and their family. Remember, I was very, very young in the Dr. Buss era. So all I really know was Kobe Bryant, who I believe is Kobe Bryant is my GOAT. But all I know was Kobe Bryant. All I seen was the success. And all I seen was the grit, the grind, the buy-in product. There was actual proper plan. When you grow up and watching the Lakers, all you seen was nothing but success. And all they want is championship caliber expectations. That's all I've grown up to know. And I learned about Dr. Buss and how, the business, the family business, they didn't really invest in other types of businesses. As you see a lot of other ownerships from different types of team. What they do, they invest their money, they have their team, but they invested in different types of businesses to get even more amount of revenue to keep on building the brand, the franchise. And when you look at the way the Lakers, just from my understanding, when you see that, they didn't really venture out and try to get into other businesses. They didn't really try to acquire different types of revenue. So she took more to heart when they went out there and publicly criticized her for being cheap, and took that to the heart. So every single thing that you're seeing from this article is a distraction. And that is why, me personally, seeing Mark Walter buy in and bought the Lakers out after she fired her siblings, it was enough is enough. I think they've grown tired of it. I think she's getting tired of it. I think it's time for a new change. The Buss family, I understand. They've done a wonderful job building the Lakers brand, especially after Dr. Buss, and just keep on building that brand and keeping it successful. Now you're going to see a shift. Now you're going to see a change. There's a reason why the Lakers were sold. I think this article specified that it was time for a new culture. It's time for a new structure. It is time for a new plan because what they are doing, it can't be generated in this era of sports. And that's why it's very important for us to understand that she still has 5 years remaining on her contract. I heard Cap on the Sedano and Cap Morning Show talking about he doesn't really see her riding out that whole 5 years, seeing her giving actually an early exit. Who knows if that's true? Possibly so. But this is why it's very important. After reading all of this, there was constant frustration amongst the siblings. There was constant distraction. They were bickering at each other. They did not see eye to eye. There was too many hands in the cookie jar. And no one seen eye to eye. And it just caused nothing but a separation amongst the franchise. That's why the sell, Mark Walter buying the Lakers, it's a big deal. We're going to see a difference. It's not going to happen overnight. But this is very, very important for us to understand. There's going to be a plan. There's going to be a structure. There's going to be a process, especially around a superstar talent like Luka Doncic. So that's, from my understanding, and from what I read, that is where I am getting at with this whole situation. But I'm really excited, man, for Austin Reaves actually being back into this lineup. I know I'm doing another quick transition, but it really is going to be a different look, a different purpose for this Lakers team. And it just makes me really believe that it's going to be a really balanced offense. I didn't realize how much they actually missed Austin Reaves on the basketball court. If I'm being really honest with you, this was a much needed. I'm trying to word this the right way. Him being out of the lineup was able to open up a lot of our eyes and a lot of a different perspective amongst this Lakers team, offensively and on the defensive end of the floor. Offensively, they could use his scoring. They could utilize his 25-point scoring. Remember, when Luka Doncic and LeBron was out, Austin Reaves was winning games by himself. I remember that Minnesota Timberwolves game specifically in Minnesota. He was balling, and he was already going to be an early candidate to be an all-star. So you're missing your all-star guy for a whole month. Of course things are going to look different. It's still no excuse. The Lakers still got to go out there and perform. And I know he's not going to come right out there. He's going to look pretty. It's going to look good right away. It's going to be some bumps. It's going to be some bruises. But the fact that his reevaluation and JJ Redick said that he can return to the 8-game road trip just gives more time to finally get the actual lineup that you're expecting. Because when I look into it, Marcus Smart was supposed to be that guy that come off the bench and provide a spark, a different look. Jake LaRavia wasn't supposed to be playing this much minutes when you really think about it. Honestly. That's why the injury bug really hit the Lakers hard. But the fact that they're still sitting atop the Western Conference like this, I'm not saying they're going to go out there and be early favorites to win a title, but adding him back in the mix, you get back in full strength, you stay healthy, who knows what could happen? Because that was honestly one of the better games we've seen all season long from the Lakers. Full 48 minutes. It didn't look good that first quarter, but then as the game progressed, you've seen all the necessary adjustments that JJ Redick finally does. Because we know when the Lakers get into a hole and they struggle, they lose. When they lose bad. But that's 2 games where we've seen adjustments and the guys buying in. It was actually a game where I sat last night and I'm like, this is fun to watch. This is good product. Doubling Jamal Murray and giving the ball out of his hands, they literally put the clamps on him. It was a beautiful thing to see. They got to be able to sustain that effort. They have to be able to sustain that effort. Now, with that being said, I got to bring in my guys. What's up, Graham Metzger? What you got for me today, my brother?
All right, D, how we doing? Loving
Man.
what you're talking about. And real quick before we move on from that Denver game, one thing about JJ being here early in his tenure, he takes the big game serious. He always is throwing something at the wall in these Denver games, even if it's not always W's. You can always feel that effort from the Lakers when they play Denver, which is not always there. So love to see that. But Deondre, something else caught my eye from that game last night.
Uh-oh.
I wanted to see if you caught this, man.
Okay,
Let me see
let's see
if
what we
you
got.
know who this is right here. These guys interacting.
Is that my guy, Jared Dudley?
That is my guy, Jared
Jared
Dudley.
Dudley. I
Now, I
forgot
don't
that
know
he's
if you
on the
saw it,
Nuggets staff.
but they were actually having a little fun at the end of the game. LeBron was kind of showing him the bird there. And I had totally forgotten that Jared Dudley was a coach at all. And so I had to kind of go back, Deondre, since he was on that awesome 2020 Lakers team where it
Mm-hmm.
felt like they were just collecting vibes guys at the end. Dion Waiters, J.R. Smith joining. Seemed like everybody loved Jared Dudley.
Uh-huh.
And then I realized he has a connection with Luka as well. He was one of the lead assistants on the Mavericks team up until this season when he joined the Nuggets as their top assistant. And so I just thought it was interesting, Deondre. I want to get your take on it because so much in the NFL, we talk about assistant coaches. Who's next up? Who's going to be that guy that we missed and he's a great head coach? Could we maybe
Mhm.
see Jared Dudley as a head coach in the NBA one day?
Look, man, he has been on a lot of coaching staffs. You mentioned him being on that Dallas Mavericks coaching staff with Luka Doncic. Jared Dudley is actually on that coaching staff for a cool minute, and he's basically the lead assistant for the Denver Nuggets. So his development and his understanding. Remember, Jared Dudley's been he played in the league for a while. You know, what I mean, he was
Absolutely.
around for a while, so he's obviously got a great understanding of how to coach and get the best out of his guys. But that was a very, very funny moment because it went around the league a lot as far as the NBA Twitter and social media. And everyone was trying to figure out who the hell is LeBron doing the little, you know what I mean, the bird to. And then you look at it, I'm like, oh, it makes sense. Jared Dudley. By the way, you know who else is on the Nuggets coaching
Who?
staff? JJ Barea. Do you remember JJ
Wow.
Barea for the
Of
Dallas Mavericks?
course.
JJ Barea. I always remember seeing him, and I always have that image of him driving to the lane when the Lakers played the Mavericks in the playoffs. And remember when Andrew Bynum gave him that elbow into the rib cage?
Oh
And
my
oh
God.
my God, that was one of the moments that I remember just growing up. I'm like, dude, Andrew Bynum, he was tough, man, and that play just changed the obviously the course of how that series was going because the Lakers are really frustrated going into that matchup against the Mavericks. But I'm so glad that you brought this up, man, because there's a lot of players that actually are on a lot of ex players who are on coaching staffs that you wouldn't even think that still are around the league. So I do believe Jared Dudley one of these days will get a head coaching gig. It probably will be a little bit because you still got a lot of guys, a lot of certified head coaches. You got to think like Frank Vogel is an assistant coach. Like Scott Brooks and Nate McMillan, they're assistant coaches, and they respectfully still can be head coaching guys. So you know, you're JJ Redick. There's a reason why he added Nate McMillan and Scott Brooks to his
Absolutely.
assistant coach. Because first off, JJ Redick was inexperienced, and then you have veteran coaches like that. Has it been again led to a lot of success? No, but it's only going to be built towards or trending towards the right direction. So all this ties in with the Lakers and as far as their assistant coaches and how it's going to be a bought-in process. So I'm so glad that you brought this up, man. Honestly.
Hey, and last thing I'll say,
Uh-huh.
I definitely remember Dudley when he was on those Nets teams that were giving the Sixers fits in the playoffs and they were dancing on the bench and he seemed like all the Lakers loved him on that 2020 team. There's something to be said for just being a dude that's easy to hang out with and talk about basketball. I don't know what Dudley's future is, but just want to keep an eye on D.
Oh, for sure. You got to have those guys on the bench to provide a different energy. I know we all joke around with the Nassus Antetokounmpo. He's one of those guys that are just around the bench. I know because he's Giannis's brother. However, he's sitting there, he's clapping, he's energized. We got to get more of that from the Lakers bench as well, especially when there's a highlight play, and especially the way they played last night against the Denver Nuggets. Whew. Way to start your 8-game road trip, getting a big win on the road against the Denver Nuggets. They got the Los Angeles Clippers tomorrow night at Intuit Dome. Let's see if the Lakers can sustain this effort, especially on the defensive end of the floor. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Man, it was a jam-packed episode. A lot of stuff to dissect to get into. I'll be seeing you guys in about a couple hours on the DeMarco and Travis afternoon show. I'm pretty sure we're going to dive into all this stuff. As always, for me, my guys in the back, Grant Metzger. I know my guy John back there, John Martin. We are out. Talk to you guys tomorrow.